Today, I'll be discussing the topic of Hollywood remakes, with the focus remaining on remakes of foreign films. I was driven to explore this topic due to its direct connection to the global film portion of the BCM 111 subject, and it will be a conversation that concerns how both Hollywood and also the outer film industry have met in the middle, for better or worse. For decades, the practice of remaking foreign films has been disregarded for lacking genuine purpose. In a 2020 Washington Post article, Anne Hornaday claims that most American remakes are but pale copies of the ingenious, eccentric, culturally specific movies that preceded them. This point of view has only continued to gather heat in the wake of recent foreign successes such as the Academy Award-winning film Parasite and also the Netflix series Squid Game, which for many have rendered the existence of remakes pointless. I aim to dive into why people feel this way by taking academic points of view into consideration. This will be an attempt to decipher why this practice fails to contain value. One of the reasons why I felt compelled to approach this topic was due to the number of successful remakes that come to mind, with Martin Scorsese's 2006 film The Departed serving as a prominent example. The Academy Award-winning film was a Boston retelling of the renowned Hong Kong film Infernal Affairs. This case has often been cited as a positive example of how to adapt a foreign film for American audiences. Many have taken the time to analyze how and why this cross of cultures succeeded in ways that have often ended in failure. Jinhua Lee's 2014 article titled From Infernal Affairs to the Departed highlights the efforts made by Scorsese to maintain the themes of the Hong Kong film, and those themes include double identity, also ambivalent morality, and conflicting loyalty, while also creating a world that is noticeably more black and white than the one presented in the 2002 original. It can be argued that a fine line between honouring and adapting was achieved here. The non-city, or the unknown city in which the events of Infernal Affairs take place in and revolve around, gave Hollywood free rein to produce their take without bastardizing the culture of Hong Kong, which is a balance that appears to be few and far between in terms of achievement, for the negative side of the argument brings many unsuccessful American films to mind. To bring it back around to Hornaday's article, she brings forth a long list of films that fail to capture the essence of the original foreign version. Among them include 2020's Downhill, a remake of Force Majeure, a Swedish film that Hornaday describes as far superior by any measure. She describes the original as funny, dramatic, tense, and tonally unpredictable. This comparison continues what Hornaday refers to as a dubious practice as old as the movie industry itself, whereby a smart, entertaining, and original movie from overseas is adapted for American audiences, leeching most of what made it so good in the first place. This sentiment is explored further by author Daniel Vandel in his book titled Hollywood Remakes, Deleuze and the Grandfather Paradox. The latter part listed in the book's title refers to issues that could potentially come forth if someone were to partake in time travel. Vandel uses this analogy as a way of expressing the problems that come with attempting to alter foreign films for Western audiences. He claims that even the minor changes made to the original product tend to leave the two versions incommensurable. Vandel uses The Vanishing as an example of this. He includes producer Paul Schiff's reasoning for radically changing the ending, claiming here that expectations from American audiences for a certain kind of movie meant compromising on their fidelity to the original. And despite the 1988 Dutch version being deemed a classic, the 1993 American version was met with disdain, with many criticisms aimed at the new happy ending. Issues surrounding cultural divides also stretch to the misunderstanding of cultural contexts. An example of this can be found in the controversy caused by the Hollywood adaptation of the Japanese manga Ghost in the Shell, which was released in 2017 and featured Scarlett Johansson as the iconic titular character. The film's release saw detractors in response to the whitewashing, largely due to the implications behind the costume choice. The book titled The Transnational Film Remake in the American Press was issued in the wake of the film's release, and at one point argues that the original manga and the 1995 anime version of Ghost in the Shell were deeply rooted in a specific era of Japanese technological development. On Twitter, comic book writer John Sui argued that due to this, the property should be understood inherently as a Japanese story, not a universal one. And the American version immediately loses this aspect, leaving it to feel superficial, as the book implies. This is another example of the potential American remakes contain to remove the uniqueness of the original film. So due to the cultural dissonance that often permeates, it can be argued that Hollywood remakes do more harm than good. It's clear now with the recent releases previously mentioned, such as Squid Game and Parasite, along with others that I failed to mention, such as Roma, that despite the existence of effective remakes such as The Departed, or even The Ring, the benefit of wider exposure no longer seems to be necessary. Especially now with Parasite becoming the first foreign film to win the Oscar for Best Picture, it seems that we are now in a new age of acceptance.